Hi Stephen, I'm really excited to present to you the final design for your living room project. So initially we had our first meeting and the site visit to discuss the brief, and the preferences that you stipulated were the Mediterranean, somewhere that you've travelled a lot and you would like to try and recreate that within your living room. So I've pulled together some imagery here just to represent the Mediterranean and some of the properties that you lived in, and you mentioned a lot about colour and fabrics, natural materials. So we've just incorporated here some of the tones and the neutral palette that you mentioned in the brief. The whites, the ecrus, the stone, lots of beige and neutral greys, a little bit of contrasting dark colour in there, but a little bit of blue as well, just to reference to the coastal side of the Mediterranean. And from that, this is the floor plan that I drew up, and I just wanted to show this is basically how I will form a layout from the space and the shape of the room, and also focusing on some of the electrical points will help me with furnishing the room. The next one is the technical drawing for the west elevation wall A. Now, obviously, the electrical fire is still there in this picture, but it's no longer there. We've moved that out, and I've decided to make this a big focus in the project because it is the main focal point when you enter the room, so it's the first thing you see. So I'll show you a little bit later on what I've got planned for that wall. Now, this is the material sample board that I pulled together. I've got some materials here for you just to look at in person.
Great.
Starting with the wall finish, I went for an all white by Farrow & Ball in a state emulsion, just because it's got a really good chalky finish. I know that you mentioned that the sort of matte finishes are more your sort of preference.
Yeah, definitely.
So I've gone for that sort of finish in the all white for the main walls.
Nice.
And then you did mention about wanting a feature wall, so I've gone for pavilion grey in a state emulsion as well, also from Farrow & Ball. Neither of these have any sort of blue undertone, so although they're very cool and contemporary to meet the brief, they're still homely and comforting and warm.
Yeah.
So it won't feel too cold in the room. Moving on to contrast with the light colours of the walls, the floor. Now we've decided to stick with the hardwood floorboards and sand, fill and stain these with a Mylands washed umber. This again has no red or burgundy undertone, so it's still cool and contemporary, and it will give you a really nice sort of matte satin finish. It's a nice mix between the two. But to just warm that up a little bit in the room, I've decided to go for this really beautiful Luxe Deco rug.
Nice.
It's really velvety, it's really thick and luxurious, but it's also stain resistant, so really good in high traffic areas. And I know you have a dog, so really handy for pets as well because it's easy to maintain.
Definitely.
But having that on the hardwood floor will just warm everything up a little bit and give it that comfort factor. Also, the sofa.com sofa that I've gone with is the Long Island in a brushed linen cotton in shadow grey. It's a lovely mid-grey, it's a really good durable fabric, it's a really luxurious fabric, it's got a lovely soft handle. So that will kind of fulfil the brief of being contemporary but also having that comfort factor too. They're really deep and they fit about 4 to 6 people on, but I'll show you that a little bit further down. I know that you mentioned you want to keep the current window treatments, but just in case for the smaller window, I've selected a bespoke fabric here for a blackout blind for the smaller window, and that's something that you can maybe consider in the future if you change your mind. Okay, so moving on to the digital sample board for furniture and accessories. I'll talk a little bit more about this piece of bespoke furniture in a second. This is the image here of the sofa that I mentioned on sofa.com. It's very contemporary, but it's still very cozy and comfortable, giving you that cinema style feel like you mentioned in the brief. This is the Garston Love Seat from BAID.com. Again, a lovely velvet feel, but it isn't velvet, so it's easier to maintain and great for pets. It just gives you that depth of colour with the navy blue, and the dark legs again will go really nicely with the dark floor. Now, you mentioned before about natural materials being more your preference. So we've got the linen, the velvety look here, and also the porcelain vase is something from West Elm that I think would be really nice to evoke that Mediterranean feel.
Yeah, looks good. I like
That
it.
I sort of envisioned being somewhere on here, and just to give you that really nice sort of Spanishy type vibe. The bespoke cushions as well is something that we can explore a little bit more with luxurious fabrics and spend a little bit more money on that without having to break the budget.
Yeah.
And that's the Luxe Deco rug there again. So this is the bespoke piece of furniture that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful unit that I think will be best painted in the all white to match the paint on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be really seamless in the room. It'll almost look like it was meant to be there from the beginning. It has push to close drawers and cupboards. The drawers are double size as well, so they're really nice and deep. I did notice from the site visit that you didn't have much storage in the room.
No, we don't know.
So this would be really good for that.
Yeah.
And it'd be really easy to just dress that as you wish and change things up and make it contemporary and sort of seasonal as well. So yeah, that's everything today. Thank you very much. Have you got any feedback or questions for me?
Yeah, I just really like the drawers. I think with the depth of it, because like I say, we haven't got much storage, so that'll be great.
Yeah.
And also, I think on this occasion, I don't think we're going to have the TV on the wall. We'll probably have it on, the drawer
On the
itself.
unit,
on the
yeah.
unit, yeah. So
Yeah, that'll work really nicely.
yeah, and I actually really like the fact that the rug's durable, and the fabric for the sofa
Yeah, the
as well.
stain-resistant rug is a really good one for pets and high traffic areas, definitely.
And I love the colour for this, definitely. That's definitely the colour that we'd go for instead of having a reddish tinge in it. So
Great. Oh, that's really good to hear. Thank you very much.